Welcome back to part 3, people. I can't believe I'm on part 3 of a video about loads of stuff, whiskey stuff that I buy. My name's Mark Littler. I'm the owner and editor-in-chief of The Whiskey Wash. I'm the owner of Mark Littler Limited, and as you can see, I have a problem in buying stuff about whiskey, but it's all history. You've got books of Islay from 100 years ago that, well, more than that, 150 years ago, that are talking about the history of Islay from 1080 onwards. We've got the Johnnie Walker advert archive, we've got the Ardbeg check archive, we've got these amazing Macallan advertising pieces, you've got amazing empty bottles of boxes for bottles of whiskey. So let's keep going. Again, look, why did I buy 5 of these books? The definitive guide to buying vintage Macallan. Why? Because they're bloody amazing books. Here you go, and just to give you a gist of this, let's find it. There is the world's most expensive whiskey, the Macallan 1926. The record for a bottle of this particular one in the Fine and Rare series livery is £1.5 million. There's the RRP, £20,000. So just after the year 2000, you could have walked up to the Macallan distillery and bought this for £20,000. You've got all the tasting notes, you've got details about the whole series of bottles. There's a really interesting story about the world's most expensive bottles of whiskey. And again, this is about 20 years ago. About 20 years ago, Macallan was still not the brand they are today. And this is what all of these things chronicle. They chronicle the movement of a brand across a period of time, which no other brand can really replicate. Now, again, if you're used to watching the channel, you'll know that I love Macallan Private Eye. Do you know why it's called Macallan Private Eye? It's to celebrate this magazine in particular, Private Eye magazine, a satirical political magazine that's available in the UK. This, on the 1st of November 1996, was their 35th birthday special. On the inside cover, there we go. Macallan congratulates Private Eye on its 35th birthday, and they've basically made a commemorative bottle of whiskey with the illustration by Ralph Steadman on there. And there it is, £35, or the miniature is £6.95. So there it is. This is what Macallan Private Eye came out for. And again, it's not just that. Many people don't also know that the Macallan and Private Eye did an exhibition at the NPG. Anyone recognise the name NPG? National Portrait Gallery in London. And here are all the illustrations that were on display at the National Portrait Gallery. And again, where is it? There'll be an advert for Private Eye in here as well somewhere. As in the Private Eye Macallan, there you go, on the back cover. So this is the exhibition catalogue that was there for the National Portrait Gallery, and here's the original advertisement for the Macallan Private Eye. So again, like pieces of whiskey history that are not necessarily the bits that you would associate. And again, we now associate Macallan with the likes of these Macallan and Laliques, or the Macallan Bentley collaboration and things like that. We don't often think of Macallan being poured from a bar with a pourer. So this is a 1980s pourer. So this cork would have wedged in the top of a bottle. You would turn it upside down, and then it would pour out a measure and then tip it back up. So this is just like bar ephemera that would have been available. But again, why the hell not? That's what they did. What have we got over here that isn't Macallan? We've got some interesting stuff. There you go. These are available for the shop to purchase now. Published by John Carey, 1794. Like, come on. 200-year-old map. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you can see Islay here, Jura. This is sort of like down here you've obviously got Campbelltown. This is the Mulligan Tower, and it's just a 200-year-old map of Islay and Jura. I mean, why the hell wouldn't you want that in your life? I don't even think they're that expensive. Off memory, I think it's like £100 or so, which is ridiculously good value. And then we've also got these other maps. Now these ones only, I'm afraid, from... Are these about 1920? They're thereabouts. The details, again, all of these are up for sale on the shop. So obviously you've got Campbelltown here, and there's all sorts of distilleries in this area, isn't there? Absolutely beautiful. Arran there, obviously. You've got Skye there. Fife and Forfar, so you've kind of got the Leith in Edinburgh here, all sorts of distilleries, Port of Leith distillery obviously now there, and the SMWS down there as well. And then likewise we've got Lewis and Harris, again Isle of Harris distillery, fantastic distillery, making great whiskey. And you know what, that is a subtle way of saying you love whiskey, and you can put it on your walls without actually having to have like a big whiskey poster like these silly things up here. Now again, let's have a look at some other bits and bobs. This is great. This is another bit of Johnnie Walker ephemera. So this is Two Good Judges. So this is again about the 1920s, I would say, 1910s, 1920s. So you've got two advertising departments here. You've got R.J. and Lee tobacco and cigarette manufacturers, and then I believe they did this in association with Johnnie Walker. So on one side you've got the Johnnie Walker advert, and then the other side you've got the tobacco advert. The Johnnie Walker ones are pretty standard, simple affairs. They were kind of a bit more, I don't know, PC, and then they have obviously slightly non-PC depictions of tobacco from that, you know, from when this was being done. But the Johnnie Walker advertising is absolutely fantastic, and again it just shows how much has changed in what is not a long period of time, really, less than 100 years, and we've gone through 2 world wars. It's, yeah, and it's just incredible to think of where these brands were coming, you know, where they've come from and where they're heading. So again, look, a full page facing matter for £45. There you go. So compliments of the London Opinion. So this would have been put together by the London Opinion as a bit of advertising. Why on earth do you not want to hear Scott Skinner's Johnnie Walker, the Old Wives' Cutty Pipe, and Scott Skinner's Welcome to Inverness for piano and violin? Sheet music. There you go. As sponsored, and it was especially composed by Scott Skinner about Johnnie Walker. I don't know. Can you read music? Do you want to buy it? Get in touch. I'm running out of space. Anyway, right, we're getting towards the end of our little venture here now. So we've got a few more little cool things here. Again, it would be rude not to talk about Macallan again, because it's all I seem to do. Macallan beer mats. Like, again, these are, you often find a lot of these related to the Folio series actually, and these are similar to the ads that ran in the Times as well. But these are just really nice little bits of ephemera, again, that are trying to put your brand in front of people that may become a consumer. And this is kind of like, if you've watched all 3 parts of this video, you'll know that Macallan have been doing this relentlessly, from Macallan Marmalade to Macallan Beer Mats, and now all the way up to the Macallan and Bentley Horizon. They have not been afraid to bloody hustle people. And you know what? You can't just become something amazing overnight. You've got to put in the groundwork, and you've got to not be afraid to do things that people turn their nose up. Imagine if people started doing some of these weird collaborations now. They're like, oh no, we're premium. No, you've got to make yourself premium. Anyway, nice sterling silver. I should have read the hallmarks before I did this piece, but it's a Sheffield hallmark. So again, if you're interested about hallmarks, the hallmarks are the oldest piece of consumer protection in the world. You'll find often some letters. If it says EPNS, it's electroplated nickel silver. The one you're looking for here is the lion passant, which is the lion facing sideways, and that indicates that it's sterling silver. Then the next mark you'll be looking for is a town mark. So in this instance, it's a crown, which indicates that this was made in Sheffield. And then here, these letters here indicate the maker. And it is, my eyes are failing, FB Limited, I don't know, Fattorini and Brooks Limited maybe. And then the letter here, C, that is the date letter. And obviously it'll be around 1963 because you've got some winners on this. But what have they won? They have won, ladies and gentlemen, the Johnnie Walker Cup, the Lagos and District Hockey Association League Championship. So again, look, Johnnie Walker were hustling. Get in, they're sponsoring the Lagos and District Hockey Association League Championship. Trying to get the name in front of buyers. Does it sound familiar with you? Sterling silver. Absolutely amazing little piece of history that, isn't it? Again, going back to Macallan in pubs, Macallan water jugs. I absolutely love these. Here's that David Holmes watercolour again, and a Sarah Midder watercolour. This is a big pub jug, so this would have been on the bar, and then you can get smaller jugs that would have been pouring a bit of water in to take away with your individual drams. Now, let's pick up something. Yeah, let's go for this. This is another amazing framed piece of ephemera. In the last video we talked about the Johnnie Walker adverts from the Illustrated London News, and this is a page of the Illustrated London News from August the 30th 1890. And what's really amazing about this is that this is the Glenlivet distillery, and you can see the Glenlivet Scotch Whisky Distillery. So this is, you know, here's the worm tubs. So this is where the vapour from the stills comes through in copper pipes to condense into spirit. You've got cutting the peat on the braes of Glenlivet. You know, you've got transporting the casks by a steam-powered traction engine, like completely different era, and you've got the maturation warehouses there as well. So this is a genuine, from 1890, this is an actual original piece. You can kind of see the text coming through on the other side of this paper, but all of this has been hand embellished with watercolour to give it the colour that you see there. And it's just an amazing piece of history, and again, it's contemporary. These are contemporary depictions of the whisky industry just over 100 years ago, and would look perfect on your wall. Now, what would also look perfect on your wall, if you've got a very strong wall, is this. Oh my god, it weighs about 20 kilos or something daft like that. Old Mull blend. Can anyone guess what this is? It's like a light thief. This would have gone above the door of a property. So this is, if you imagine you've got your door beneath here, and above it you've got the skylight or the light thief there above the door. And this is for Old Mull blend Scotch whisky, John Hopkins and Distillers, Tobermory, Isle of Mull. And you've got the details of the sign writer here, down here, which is amazing. And this is all reverse painted glass. So on the front of it, it's completely plain, and this is all painted on the back side through. And this is what a technique called verglas. And again, it protects the paint obviously from the elements on the outside, and it always looks fantastic and bright. Now, this needs a really awesome place to live, but what an amazing piece of history that is. Now, what else have we got? We've got a few little novelties here. Absolutely love these Macallan shotgun hip flasks. Well, shotgun cartridge hip flasks. There we go. A little hip flask in the form of a shotgun cartridge. Absolutely love it. East-Rokey's house on there. I just think that's a really smart little piece of, you know, amazing little gift to give somebody, isn't it? Something weird. Jubilee. Queen's Jubilee 1952 to 1977. Sterling silver R&B. Robertson Belk. The rose, again that represents Sheffield. The crown and the rose is Sheffield. Apparently it's the pub that they met in. Lion Pass on. Your date letter there, and then you've got a special mark here because it was the Jubilee year. And this is one of a limited edition of 2,500 sterling silver with the Royal Coat of Arms decanter label. So this would have gone around the neck of your decanter so that you knew that it was whiskey in that decanter. We don't really have whiskey decanters anymore, do we? But that's really good. It also bounces. I think that's getting towards the end of it. The only other thing that I've not shown you is this series of Johnnie Walker prints from about the 1920s, 30s probably. And there's a whole series of them down here. And again, these just need going in a better frame, and then they would look absolutely phenomenal. Just as a really interesting set of whiskey history. And yeah. Oh, last thing, very last thing, I promise you people, is this. It's faded, but it's the Johnnie Walker International Hole-in-One Award, awarded to Fred McCraney. So at one point, Johnnie Walker decided to sponsor a lot of golf clubs. Again, we go back to that first video where Macallan are making these ice buckets of golfing barrels. So whiskey has always had a strong association with golf, which actually has died off a fair bit in recent years, hasn't it? But anyway, back in the 1970s, 1980s, Johnnie Walker sponsored a hole-in-one award, and you would basically you would win one of these certificates, and I think you would win a bottle of whiskey as well if you achieved a hole-in-one at the club. So again, you just go home and have that pride of place. Yes, you got a hole-in-one, fantastic achievement, but also you've got Johnnie Walker emblazoned on the wall of your house for all of your friends and family to see. There we go, people. There's my massive ridiculous collection of whiskey ephemera, whiskey boxes, whiskey all sorts, the amazing Ardbeg checks, the Johnnie Walker archive. We've got loads of stuff there. It's all for sale. Seriously, get in touch if you want to buy any of it, because it's more than willing to go to a good home at the right price. And yeah, What do you think? Have you got any of this at your place? Tell me what other ephemera that I need to get buying that I've not been buying.